Salaam everyone, today I wanted to make this quick video. I noticed a very interesting video from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and it was a message to all Muslims.
Let's see if we can unite as people of the book.
And I believe he comes from a good place, but he says a couple of things that I thought were a bit unfair, a bit naive.
Please forgive my presumption, if you would.
If you haven't seen it yet, I've linked it down below in the comments and also in the description, so check it out before watching this video. He starts out by acknowledging his Muslim viewership and thanking all of his watchers that happen to be Muslim.
Thank you, all my Muslim listeners, watchers, and readers, for your kind attention.
I'm also one of those people that occasionally sees his videos from time to time, so that was nice. And I think in general, Dr. Peterson is quite a constructive individual. You know, he does come from a good place, and I believe this entire message came from a good place, a place of good intention. I think he truly believes that we need to hear this for our own good. And to be fair, I think some of it is on the money. But the first thing that he talks about is how as Muslims, we need to try to face the true enemy. And he makes it specifically clear that the true enemy aren't Sunni Muslims or Shia Muslims.
To stop fighting among yourselves, you Shiites and Sunnis.
I agree with that in general. You know, there is far too much infighting between Sunni and Shia Muslims, but I think that's as a result of the geopolitical events of the last century rather than an actual divide between Sunni and Shia Islam. I think Sunni and Shia Muslims have lived in peace for hundreds of years, centuries. But I agree with the sentiment that he's making. You know, we should stop fighting amongst ourselves. He also says that we should stop viewing the Christians and the Jews as our enemies and try and focus on our own inner demons. And I think he's got a really good point with that.
The best place to find Satan, let's say, is within.
Though I think it's unfair to say that all Muslims view Christians and Jews as their enemies, there are some that do. And so for those people, hearing this message might be helpful. And he's right that we should try and focus on improving ourselves, try and be a shining example to everyone else of this is what a Muslim is.
That people convert to your faith from sheer admiration.
We are all united by a belief in God, prophets, their message, and we are all threatened by the ultra-liberal society that's sweeping across the Western nations. And again, I really appreciate his emphasis on our inner demons, how these are our real enemies. And every Muslim, or most Muslims, should get taught this at birth, and I think they do, that, you know, shaitan, or the devil, lives inside all of us. He's tempting us constantly to do wrong things. I've seen some people criticize Dr. Peterson for only making a video message for Muslims. Why not Christians? Why not Jews? But I think it's a bit of a moot point. You know, if you've seen Dr. Peterson's videos recently, it's clear that he's making a transition from YouTube and podcasts to the Daily Wire. It's clear that his content will be more focused towards Christianity and a bit of Judaism from now on, especially on the Daily Wire. And perhaps he wanted to address his Muslim audience before he makes that transition completely. Perhaps he'll address Christians and Jews in the same manner with a similar message, and I hope he does, because I think it's something that we can all benefit from, no matter our faith. However, there's a couple of things that I think Dr. Peterson got wrong in his message. And firstly, I think he seems to have this false assumption, or he's promoting a false narrative, or at least implying it, that Muslims somehow specifically hate Jews more than Christians, more than anyone else.
Maybe reach out tentatively to a Christian, or even, heaven forbid, a Jew.
Most Muslims that I know do not hate Jews specifically. Most Muslims are in opposition to extreme Zionism that dictates most of the actions of the Israeli state these days, as well as the unfair persecution of many Palestinian citizens that comes along with that. Of course, there's no mention of that in his video. He just seems to incorrectly lump our dislike for Zionism with somehow hating every Jew that there is. We don't hate Jews, we dislike injustice. And that's reminiscent of what's wrong with his message in general. He's chosen to ignore the wider geopolitical basis for the divisions between us and has instead chosen to paint it as, you don't like each other, now like each other. But perhaps that's by design. I mean, after all, he's a very clever man. And perhaps rather than pretending to understand all of the complications, he wants to spread a positive message, even if it is a bit simplistic and presumptuous. I genuinely don't think that he's being condescending, and I do think he is coming from a good place, like I said before. We have to remember that this is a man that was willing to have a very constructive conversation with a respected Muslim figure such as Muhammad Hijab, and publicise it on his YouTube channel to millions of people. And I do agree with the core message that we should all talk to each other more, and that bridging our gap of separation will lead to more communication, therefore more understanding, and therefore less hate, wherever that exists.
How about we all quit squabbling over trinkets and details?
But whether you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, let me know what you thought about Dr. Peterson's message in the comments down below. And otherwise, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.